Hello and well met. This is Layman with the Fantasy Grounds Academy. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the new Planescape adventure module. So Planescape was originally a part of the, I believe it was 2nd edition when it first came out, and it was one of my favorite settings. So I'm really excited to see that this has finally made it again. I'm not sure how good the quality of the content is. I haven't had time to really look deep into it, but I am going to kind of show a little bit here and there of what you're getting with for your money. So essentially, you're getting 3 or 4 different sections. So I'm going to come over to the modules area. I picked this up at the Fantasy Grounds store. It was about 50 gold. I'm going to click on modules, go to activation, and search for Planescape. And this should bring up the modules that you're getting with the content. So you're getting Planescape Turn of the Fortune's Wheel. You're getting basically a primer about all of the outlands, and you got Mortar's Planar Parade, which I believe is a menagerie of stuff, and then you have the player's guide. So there are a few player's options. You have some backgrounds, that sort of thing. And then you have these beautiful poster map type things here. So this is for Planescape. So if you're interested in this, if you click on these links, it'll take you to different sections of the book where you can take a look at what all these places are. You have the Hall of Records. Here's a Civic Fest Hall. Some of these might even include maps, so it just depends on what they are and what they're used for. This one looks more like it's for visual reasons, but there might be another map somewhere in here. So basically, the art's pretty good so far, from what I can tell. So I'm not too, not too disappointed in that regard. For player character options, if you actually open up the content and you come over to where they actually talk about Chapter 1 is the character options, you got a couple new backgrounds, and then you have, let's see, for the Gate Warden and the Planer. And also, you gain specific feats. So if you choose one of the backgrounds, you gain a bonus feat, which is a skilled and tough, those aren't new. But there's the Gate Warden. Prerequisite is it must be a Planescape campaign. And it looks like you have some personality traits. And this is something that you could play and pick up when you're actually, so it's like a background basically. And then you have, let's see, you get some starting background equipment, languages, you get survival and persuasion, and then there is the Planar Philosopher, which is another kind of like a background that's fitting for this particular setting. So it kind of depends on what you're interested in. But if you remember, they updated the Monsters of the Multiverse, so that was kind of supposed to go with this. So any of the changes that they wanted to make for that have already been done. So if you're going to make characters, I would have that loaded if you own the content. That way you have access to more varieties of character options. And then as far as the gameplay goes, I'm not going to give away too many spoilers, but it looks like the adventure is going to complement the accessory. And if I go to the adventure, let's see what these other books are. So this is the actual adventure, the Planescape Turn of Fortune's Wheel, which is essentially like a kind of like a casino. So that's something that that you'll have to check out when you're actually playing. But it looks pretty cool. You have, let's see, running the adventure. This just talks about how the adventure is organized. And it looks like there's just some adventuring available for you when you're going to try out the setting. So that's kind of cool that they've included a kind of a background adventure to kind of get you used to the content. And in the Fortune's Wheels is basically a big casino, and that's where this adventure starts and takes place. So it's kind of interesting how they did this, kind of like a Las Vegas of of the planes. And then this thing here, I wanted to look at the Okay, here are all your NPCs. So in Mort's Planar Parade, you have all your NPCs. So there's quite a few in here. I think there was about 50 or so. So here's a sunfly. Huh, interesting. Cranium rat, Baronoloth. This is probably a big, yeah, that's a huge fiend. Let's take a look at that thing. Oh yeah, wow. So anyhow, you have a monster menagerie. You have kind of like a player guide to add a few options to player character builds. Then you have the main core book, which is, you know, kind of like your gazetteer. And then you have this NPC book, which is like your monster menagerie. So you got 4 sections. It's actually only 3, but the way Fantasy Grounds is set up is they split apart the player options from the GM options so you can share that with your players and they'll be able to use the options in the book. So if you have this player section loaded and you're building characters, your friends or your people who are joined at your table will be able to access the player stuff. So again, you have a couple backgrounds, you have some new feats. Let's see, got a couple spells, and there's some tables, I guess, for determining the backgrounds and some of the trinkets that you start with. But that's basically what you're getting with the character creation part. The rest of the character creation stuff would more than likely be in the Monsters of the Multiverse Player's Guide, because that's where a lot of the stuff was consolidated. That's one of the reasons they combined the older content, is so that you have all the non-human, non-standard races in one place. And then they also included the monsters in that. So if you have the Monsters of the Multiverse, it'll help you in the long run. I don't think you need to start off with it, but if you don't already have it, it'll give you some more options for playing, and you get all these other races that are not just humans, but they're, you know, all the different things like Tabaxi, Turtles. So you got Dwergar, Azamar. I think the Celestials, oh, the Eladrin are in here, fairies. So this would be good for, you know, having a multitude of different races to pick from, so that you could, you know, kind of get away from the standard trope of dwarves, elves, gnomes and halflings, you know, those sort of things. It's kind of cool. So this is just a kind of a quick look through. And from what I could tell, so like I said, you got an adventure, you have a monster menagerie, you have a player section, and you have a GM section. That's basically how this thing is laid out. So I'm going to take a look at this map. I'll kind of expand this a little bit more. This is part of the poster map that comes with the book. So if you purchase the real book, you get like one of those tear out double-sided maps. I think it's kind of a neat illustration map. Far as functionality goes, it's probably just something you would share with your group occasionally when you're going from one place to another, just to kind of give them that immersion feel. But as far as actually playing on it, there's no grid or anything like that on here. These are just kind of, they're not really distanced, you know, there's no scale here really that I can see. And if there was, it wouldn't matter. But it says infinite scale, so locations shown relative to one another. So it's not really, you know, accurate as far as scale goes. So they're just trying to let you know. It's more or less a way of illustrating the connection between the different planes of existence in the different areas. So that's not really a battle map per se. And this other one is more of a map of the city. And remember, it's kind of shaped like a ring. So if you imagine this piece here, on this inner ring, you have all these buildings. It's kind of like a big space station. And then here's like the inner and the outer ring. And then they're just kind of showing you the underworld and then the top side of it. And let's take a look at any map, if there is any in this. So if I go to campaign and go to images, and then I'm going to go ahead and filter this down to Planescape. Sigil in the Outlands. Let's see. I want to make sure I got the right. Okay, that's the planar guide. There's the players. Yeah, these are just the player options and showing illustrations. So I want to see if there's any maps or anything for the adventure part of it. So that's just those. Okay, this is going to show all the monsters, so you're going to have pictures of creatures in here, which is cool. I always like that. Okay, here we go. So here's the adventure. This is the Planescape Turn of Wheels Fortune. Hey, the Apparatus of Coilish has made its appearance. Okay, so you got some NPCs in here. Let's see if there's any maps. Yeah, so here's a bunch of maps that are coordinated with the actual content. So they don't look too bad. I like this style of map compared to the, the basic ones that are just, black and white. I like these colored ones. They're pretty good, pretty decent. And if I open this up and take a look at this line of sight's already been done on it. Very nice. It saves you a lot of time. And then on top of that, there's a DM's layer. So this layer is so that you can turn on or off the location. So right now it's GM only. So if you share this map with your players, they're not going to see these labels. Okay, so those labels are essentially going to be gone if you turn off the visibility. So they're set to GM only. So if you open this up and you share it with your players, you don't have to worry about it. If you want those labels to disappear, you can also hide the thing from yourself as well, so it doesn't get in your way. So that's a really nice way to do things. I kind of like the direction they've gone in that. It just saves having to have a separate map for GMs. So that's pretty cool. I like it. Yeah, so the maps look decent. I'm not too upset about that. And then you got all the artwork separated out. So if you want to use these NPC assets in different areas in the adventure, you have it. So you'll have pictures you can put together. You can make your own collage, whatever you want to do. So that looks pretty good. So you got a couple new spells, got some feats, got some backgrounds, and then there's some tables here for character creation. And that's what you're getting with the adventure. So it's about $50, depending on where you buy it and your local economy and all that stuff. I imagine it'll probably end up going on sale like everything else does, because that's one thing is you don't have to run out and buy something the day it comes out like I have. You can wait a couple weeks or a month or whatever, and usually by the end of this year they'll be on sale. So if you don't want to spend $50 on it now, just buy it later when it goes on sale. Or if you have the bundle, the D&D bundle, then you can get a discount from that. So that's, a way to save costs. And I've heard people complaining about the price, and it's like, okay, well, what you're paying for is the conversion, the maintenance, the storage of it, all that stuff. You're not necessarily paying for the book again, because you're getting a little bit different product. I mean, it's the same information, but it's organized differently. And what's nice is when you have it set up in these reference manuals, you're able to do a lot more with them as opposed to before. And you have searchable fields here, and you got all these things bookmarked, and you can resize these things now, whereas before you weren't able to do that. So it looks pretty good. It's not bad. So you can actually collapse that page down so it's just a whole page and with no index. Use the arrows on the bottom to navigate. So it's just like having the book almost. It's really close. And I like how it's organized, so it looks pretty good. So I think Zacchaeus did another good job with the conversion. I rarely have any issues with his work, so I'm pretty happy with it. I was pretty disappointed with the Giants and the Lost Mine of Fendelver module, but I think this one so far has looked pretty decent. I haven't really delved into the adventure part of it yet. I have to see how that pans out, but it sounds like a lot of fun. What can go wrong if you're in a casino in the middle of the multiverse? So it sounds like a lot of fun. So I might actually run this next year, being that this year I'll probably be busy up till the end of the year, but maybe I'll start running this as a campaign and kind of tie in a bunch of other stuff together. We'll see. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a quick preview of this. I don't want to ramble too much longer. especially when I don't really know everything about it. I just know enough to kind of show you where things are, poke around, and you get in your adventure, your menagerie, and then got your book. So that your GM stuff and then player stuff. So take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. Getting closer to Friday. What do we got? Tomorrow's Wednesday. That's good. And if you haven't updated Fantasy Grounds yet, I would do so. As a matter of fact, looking at the post, if you guys haven't already discovered, the update claimed that they also have included the ability to basically to have animated portraits. So that's one of the things that they added. They support animated portraits now. So if you've got some character portraits and you want them to kind of blink their eyes or kind of move their heads around, I think you'll be able to do that. They improved the speed a little in the assets window. So when you open up your assets and then you go to look for something, let me try to search for something animated. I'll just say that. So, oh yeah, whoa, much quicker. So I just searched for that, and before it took it like 20 seconds or whatever, and that was almost instantaneously. So they cut down some of the access time, depending on how big your library is too. But that's really helpful. Let's see, the assets window will remember the last display index. So if you close this, and what you often do for room and such, you bring this back up, it's going to remember where you were. It's not going to reset it. So that's nice. And it remembers what your last search was and everything. So that's kind of nice. You have a peek through option added to LOS on the image data control in grid unit. So not sure what that exactly that means, but imagine it's like a preview thing where you can kind of like a what do you call it? It's probably kind of transparent. Let's see, console error auto. Okay, so if you get an error that keeps popping up, but your game is still playable, there is a command that you can type now, /console skip. And what that does is it skips that pop-up window that comes up every time you have an error. So that way you can get through the game without having that come up every 5 seconds. I guess they improved memory management of image code to improve long session performance. So as your campaign builds and as time goes on, supposedly there was some kind of memory leak or some kind of creep that would happen, and then you would end up having trouble as you're getting into 3 to 4 hours of playing. So I'm not sure if that was the fact that maybe it wasn't releasing the memory or whatever it is, but some kind of caching scheme. You can now export WebP files. So if you make a map in Fantasy Grounds and you export it, you can export it now in WebP instead of just PNG files and JPEG. So that's cool. And they did a bunch of other back-end fixes, and Ring of Element dice transparency not correct for some dice fix. So there's some cosmetic things they fixed, some masking issues. They updated image vision token coloring to post multiply implementation to prevent artifacting with effects layers. So they fixed they addressed the effects layers, like when you were using line of sight with that, it was kind of conflicting. I remember reading about that. Removed display compression for small images with transparency. So they probably, optimized that so that it wouldn't have to compress the small tiny images. So that's good. I mean, they're trying to get this thing to where it runs a lot smoother. I'm really happy though about that improvements in the asset window, because that was annoying. Every time you'd search for something, you'd have to wait like, at least the initial search, you'd be waiting like 20, 30 seconds, whatever it was. Now it's just down to a few seconds. So that's really cool. All right, guys. Well, you take care. I will see you guys around. And if you're interested, I'm running a one-shot Halloween game on the 28th. And if you are part of the Fantasy Grounds Academy community, you can sign up for it. First come, first serve. There's like 2 more spots left, I think. And it should be a lot of fun. We're just going to do a one-shot, no dedicated